Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Boleyn Lounge. Sorry we're a little bit late. Kept you waiting there, Budgie. Sorry about that. I've been running a little bit behind today.
Oh, that's all right, buddy. Don't you worry about me. I've got all the time in the world for you, son.
Cool, thank you. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah. I'm actually feeling pretty good today, as it happens. You know, after everything, I'm feeling reasonably good.
Oh, good to hear. Good to hear.
Camera.
So you got your light in play there?
Yeah, but it's right in the frigging camera shot. Well, how about if I turn the camera around a little bit more? Anyway, how are we?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Not too bad at all. So running a little bit behind, so I'm a little bit disorganised this evening. So apologies to everyone for that. But hopefully we'll catch up and get in good order now. So I just scrambled a little bit of pizza there before I came on there.
Yeah.
And I'm going to wash it down with a mouthful of beer now.
Oh, that sounds like a bloody good idea. Yes, we're in the lounge. Let's have a beer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so most channels have done their player scores and match previews and reviews and what have you, but we haven't done so far. So we better touch on the Liverpool game. And it was a bit of a weird affair, wasn't it? And seemed a little bit subdued, and there was quite a lot on it for both teams, and it didn't seem like that for a long time. But kind of came to life in the end. Scored a couple of good goals from our point of view. I thought we conceded a couple of poor goals from our point of view.
That second goal, my God, that was like a game of pinball.
Yeah, even the first one, I thought Areola probably should have done better with it. I don't think it was the
he could have done, but you know, I mean, he got his hand to it, didn't he?
I think once he gets his hand to it, he probably needs to save it. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh, but that's just how I see it.
I've actually had to play and go a few times, so I know how bloody difficult it can be to judge where you're putting a ball when you're parrying it of any description. You know, you might have an idea of what direction you're going to be able to get it going, but sometimes, you know, speed of the ball can catch you out, whether it's faster than you expect or slower. You know, so I'm not too harsh on Areola for that. I mean, it was a good strike, let's be honest. It was a good strike.
I think so.
Well, it went right through the legs of the defender. So who was that? Yeah. That was Ogbonna, wasn't it? No, Kurt Zouma. Yeah. Went straight through the legs of Kurt Zouma. So, you know, Kurt Zouma could have done better. You know, the defensive midfield could have done better.
Came out of sleep again a little bit, didn't we?
Yeah,
and, paid the price with another early goal inside the first 2 or 3 minutes of a half. And
and you know, teams have sort of begun to learn now that that's when they should hit us, because we come out into the game expecting an easy ride for the first 5-10 minutes. You know, let ourselves ease ourselves into the game. But no. That's when we're vulnerable. You know, and Liverpool kind of exploited that in the second half. You know, and I feel also that our game against was it Villa at the weekend? No, who did we play at the weekend? Palace.
Oh, the other last week.
Yeah, the weekend before. I mean, I felt that's when they had 3 goals in 16 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, something stupid like that.
in the first
4-0
16
up
minutes.
inside 25 minutes or something, weren't they? Crazy.
Exactly. So, they knew to hit us from early doors, and that was it really. The writing was on the wall from the first goal with the Palace game, and
Certainly was.
I felt that the writing was on the wall from the second minute of second half against Liverpool. But I had confidence that certain players weren't about to let that rest, and those players being Edson Alvarez, Mikel Antonio, Mohamed Kudus, Jared Bowen, and quite possibly Thomas Soucek as well. I felt those handful of players were not going to let it rest at that. They weren't about to let Liverpool take control of the game, although they did get that second goal, and it was very fortuitous.
They're very lucky.
Yeah, that's an easier way of saying it. But I just felt that it was kind of fortuitous, but in a way we deserve what we got, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean by that, Jeff? They applied the pressure and we allowed it, and we soaked it up as much as we could.
I think the result was probably pretty fair in the end.
Yeah. I mean, our second goal was impeccable, and like that was the third time of trying within about 95 seconds. I think it was the third time.
I think both sides
into that central position for Antonio to get onto. The first one didn't get past the defenders. The second one was kind of intercepted, and then the third one I thought was perfect, inch perfect. And I thought Antonio got up like a salmon, and it rolled back the years for me, Jeff. I looked at him and I thought, mate, you look like a 28-year-old Mikel Antonio today. I thought he had a great game.
I do think defensively both sides will be disappointed with the goals they conceded.
Yeah.
From a Liverpool perspective, I'm sure they're looking at each other saying, how did Bowen get in between us and score that goal? And equally for Antonio's goal, they'll be saying, how's he ended up on his own and scored that? But obviously, from our perspective, well done to both of those lads.
It's exactly what you want them to be doing exactly that. And, like you say, and from a Liverpool perspective, I think Van Dijk's going to probably look at himself and go, look, I'm taller than that guy. I'm not as heavy as that guy. I'm like 6 years younger than him. I should be getting up higher than him. And honestly, Jeff, it was such a rollback of the years. It reminded me of that goal where he, I believe it was Dimitri Payet put the ball into him in his last season when we were at the London Stadium, and the ball came in from the left-hand side, I believe it was, and Antonio got onto it, and he had his arms outstretched when he got onto it like that. It was almost like he was in crucifix mode when he went up there. It was incredible. Honestly, it was like it was God-given for him on that occasion. But this one last weekend was equally as exciting for me. As I said, it rolled back the years for me. Enjoyed it.
I think someone else who perhaps didn't roll back the years, but certainly had a much improved performance, and don't think I've heard too many people give him too much credit, was Ogbonna. If you look at his display against Palace, he looked him and Zuma looked absolutely full, and they were walked around. But he put in a much better performance.
Yeah, and and it's weird how they did that.
It's very
against a team that are considered to be minnows compared to the likes of Liverpool, City, Manchester United, those kinds of teams. Crystal Palace are supposed to be kind of minnows in the league, aren't they, really? And yet
mid-table, aren't they?
Yeah, kind of, but they're not a team that you're going to worry about getting consistent European places, are they?
No, mid-table, bottom half.
Yeah, and yet they made two of the most experienced defenders in the league look decidedly amateur, and then those two same players go up against undoubtedly one of the best sides in the league, in the country, and they both put in a performance that you would think, where where was that last week? Do you know what I mean? It was like they were both very good on Sunday.
One other talking point, big talking point, I guess, in the game was the Areola Gakpo. Wasn't it a free kick situation? What did you make of that, Budgie?
Do you know, I actually thought that Areola was impeccably professional throughout that until the questions were were brought up. You know what I mean, by the other players and all that. And I thought in fact, I thought Areola kept his cool throughout the whole lot. Yeah, he shouted, but that's irrelevant. I thought he kept his cool, and I, like when that actual incident happened, I didn't put Areola at fault at all, not at all.
I must admit, I was watching it on the TV, and I just caught the referee with his arm up in the air out the corner of my eye at the edge of the box there, and I thought just from the passage of play that he must have given a free kick. And when Gakpo went to close the ball and he blew the whistle to stop the game, I thought, well, he obviously has given a free kick because there's no reason to stop the game otherwise.
Yeah.
But it all got a bit weird after that, didn't he? When he kind of said to him, go down, bring the trainer on. And the physio come treated Areola. And then the restart was from his hands. So
yeah, that was almost.
I absolutely don't know what happened there. If I'm honest.
Yeah, it was. But like I said, I thought, like when Areola did sit on the floor, I thought, oh, hang on, something's happened here, because I didn't. I was watching the game, but I might have been rolling a fag or having a puff on my bloody vape or something, But there was a point when I thought, oh shit, he must be really hurt. And then when he got up, he was sort of like shrugging it off, going, I don't know why that happened. I don't know why they came on. That was kind of his reaction after they attended to him. And, like I said, I thought Areola would like try to do his best to stay professional throughout the whole thing. But the point when he shouted, and I think he was shouting at his defence, actually, saying, you shouldn't have put me in this effing position, I think that's probably what I was reading into it. That's probably where, and he was bang on right. Like I said, I thought I never put Areola in the wrong at any point throughout the whole of that. We got a couple of people saying hello in the chat, by the way, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm going to come to the chat just now. Just thought we'd do our little review, and let's see who's here now. I got Adam. Stan,
evening, Adam.
Thanks for joining us. And Wazim's in again. Thanks for popping in and seeing us, Wazim. And anyone in the chat's got any views on the Areola situation or anything else, please put it in there, and we'll discuss it. And DiCanio, thanks for coming in, joining us again. Nice to see you back in the lounge.
Thank you, DiCanio.
If anyone would like to join in the lounge, let us know. I can pop a link in there, and you can come in and guest in here and voice your opinions if you'd like to. Just let us know. So obviously I've put my thumbnail around the Moyes. A bit of we don't really know. Is he staying? Is he going? It's still a little bit up in the air. I think the general presumption is that he probably is going, but we don't have confirmation from that, and that's just well, the Mark Noble, this club's no longer run like a circus line goes round and round in our heads, and never seemed more apt that it is actually run like a circus, because it never seems to get any better for us, does it?
No.
And here we are again. Is Moyes staying? Is he going? He's making out that there's a contract, or there was a contract, and he'll make his mind up if he's going to stay. The board are saying we'll review it at the end of the season. There's lots of speculation about any games being played around season ticket renewals, and will we actually know the outcome of whether Moyes is staying or going before?
They're not actually releasing the percentage of renewals yet either. And they won't.
Well, I don't mind those that are saying they don't want to renew, and they're going to throw their ticket in because give me more opportunity to renew mine, because I let mine lapse over lockdown, and I've actually decided I'm going to try and go back every week. So
okay.
As long as there's,
I've never,
for me,
I've never applied for a season ticket. I have to be honest with you, but that's not because I don't want to be there, because clearly I do. I get to just as many games as some season ticket holders do, except for the away games, you know. But I'm happy not having a season ticket, because I actually can really pick and choose which games I want to go to. Maybe it might cost me slightly more, but I'm paying less over the year than I would be for a season ticket. Because, you know, like I said, I do get to quite a lot of games, but, you know, most of the tickets I get are, you know, at season ticket prices. So, I'm not paying a lot over the odds for the tickets at all, ever. Not ever. In fact, I don't think I have ever. And I've got tickets for other people from other sources, including Craig Forrest's daughter. I got tickets for her and her partner when they came over this year. Chelsea game, I believe it was. Maybe not.
Yeah, just as DiCanio saying here, he doesn't think it is certain that he's going. Look at the history of Sullivan. It's a bit like what we're touching on, really.
Yeah.
And the safe pick for him is to keep him. And I think there is an argument for that. It won't be popular in some quarters, but you can see why Sullivan might take that line of thought. I don't know what your opinion on it, Budgie.
Well, I'll give you what my opinion is on it. Now, you're right. Sullivan may be tempted by that train of thought. But what he doesn't want is another one of the scenarios where it's GSB out or whatever the case would be now. But he doesn't want another one of those protests where it could spill onto the pitch, or, you know, it could prevent, you know, players getting to the game or anything. He doesn't want that kind of controversy attached to this club ever again. He's actually said that out loud. So, you know, he said that was an embarrassment to him and the other owners, Sullivan. So I don't think he's going to want to allow it to go that far. And I'm pretty sure that if David Moyes signs another contract, it will go that far, because there are so many people. I mean, look, Jeff, you go on a lot of the same chats that I do on other channels and stuff, and you see the same comments I see. And we know that the majority is now of the people that are talking on the YouTube social media, as it were.
For sure.
The majority is now Moyes out at all cost. That is the consensus of what I'm seeing anyway. That's my opinion of what it is I'm seeing. But it's kind of like that. It's like Moyes out. We do care about who we're getting, but, you know, anything's an improvement on what we're seeing right now. You know, I even suggested once, you know, what would you have Sam Allardyce back? And they said anything other than Moyes. Do you know what I mean?
Really?
That was like one or two people that said that, but anything over Moyes. And I think it will get toxic if he signs another contract. And I think he knows that. And I think Sullivan knows that. And I've got a funny feeling a funny feeling that there's already a deal in place for somebody to replace him. I don't know who, but you know how Sullivan works. You know, he'll either tell everybody everything or he'll tell nobody nothing. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we'll have Harry Potter Harry Potter. What's his blinking name? Graham Potter. We'll have Graham Potter at the helm before you know it, because he's played golf with David Sullivan or something, and he's like, yeah, well, I'm out of work if you need a manager. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if we will get Graham Potter myself personally.
Probably not, but I'm just using him as the worst case scenario for me. Okay, I think if it's left to David Sullivan to decide, then it's going to be a worst case scenario. Tim Steidten has to have like freedom to at least make the suggestion for who would be the replacement. But I do believe there will be a replacement.
Well, we should be finding out soon, according to, I don't want to say sources because I'm not privy to any sources, but to the chatter that's been released on social media, it seems that a decision will be made at the end of the season. They will sit down sometime between the final game of the season and the end of May and decide whether a contract will be signed by David Moyes or he's going to leave the club, which I think is healthy. But I do think that if David Moyes is going to part ways with West Ham United and that they know that that's the case, my own personal feeling on it is they should announce it. And they should announce it before the Luton game. Is my opinion. And those in the stadium that wish to give Moyes a round of applause or acknowledge him for what he's done, or if those that want to give him wanker signs and say good riddance and don't ever darken our door again, want to express themselves in whatever way they choose, I think the fans should be given an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I've grown from being Moyes in, and I'm talking about at the beginning of this season. I was Moyes in, because of the European win, because of the way we were playing. I witnessed some very, very good football against Chelsea and Brighton away. I witnessed some good football at the stadium, and okay, yes, it was defensive. Of course it was. You wouldn't expect anything less, but there was some really good football being played, really good football. Lucas Paqueta was at the centre of it all. Kudos came in and he started playing his role. Bowen was at the centre of it. Emerson was at the centre of it. All players I admire, and James Ward-Prowse, there was the expectation of this fantastic free kick specialist, best in the world according to Pep Guardiola. With all of that expectation and everything else, and I was watching really good football, and I was vehemently Moyes in, to be fair. And then over the period of this season, I've got more and more towards, well, if he goes, he goes. I'm not going to, shed a tear over it, but I ain't going to cheer over it either. And now I'm beginning to say, right, I'm happy to give you a round of applause when you leave the stadium for the last time. And I'm happy to give you a round of applause for what you have done with and for this club. Because there is no doubt he's improved this club dramatically over the last 3-4 seasons, and we were pretty much cannon fodder before then. And now, okay, we're getting back to that kind of category again, I think. But for the last 3 or 4 seasons, teams have been very, very difficult to break us down, and we've had some great results against some great opposition, We beat the serial winners of the Europa League to advance into the semi-final. Okay, that tells you something. You know, already
Right, I've got
that tells you something.
Budgie, we've got James in the green room here, so before
Okay,
I leave him
yeah,
sitting
bring him
there
in,
too long,
bring him in.
I'll bring him in and let him join the show. Hello, James.
How we all
Thanks for
doing?
joining us.
All right, James, how
Yeah,
are you,
good,
sir?
thank you.
I'm all right, mate. I've had so much happen, but that's a story for another time. What are we discussing?
Well, we're
We're
kind of...
basically, yeah, go on, Budgie. Carry
No,
on.
I'm saying at the moment we're on the subject of, does Moyes go? Does he stay? You know, we're kind of like staying on the fence, throwing it in, and then putting our points of view as to either side of it. So, you know, I've basically said that I believe that Moyes will go. I don't think David Sullivan will want a repetition of the, you know, the all the demonstrations, the GSB and all this, that and the other. He stated that that was an embarrassment to the club and to the owners of the club, etc. I don't think he'll allow it to get toxic in the stands again, like it has done in recent years over other issues, you know, including the bonds thing and everything. You know, he won't want that kind of a reaction from the fans again. So I'm saying that I'm thinking that he's probably already got a manager in place, one that he said that, you know, when Moyes goes, the job's yours. Don't know who that is. I've got no idea who that would be, but knowing him, it would probably be somebody like Graham Potter. But I think he's already, well, I think the club have already got somebody in place that has accepted the job once David Moyes has gone. Where do you stand?
I don't know, mate. I don't believe so. I think Lopetegui's firmly in the frame. He's firm. I've said it for months, and basically for me, when I look at this, it's a Sullivan appointment. Yeah, and when people keep saying Steiden, they're taking their mind away from who runs the club, and it's what they're hoping that's going to happen, rather than what some people like myself know that's going to happen. I don't think it's Potter. I think Lopetegui's in the frame. I think Fonseca is a person that is like a backup plan to them, so to speak. If it don't go right with one, they've got the other one as a backup. And this thing with Moyes, where they won't tell us if he's leaving or not, that is like basically saying that if they can't get them managers and they can't get what they really want, they're going to offer them a new deal. And it just wouldn't surprise me with Sullivan. It really wouldn't. Now, as a CV, because it seems like people seem to go on CVs recently, when you look at Moyes' CV at West Ham, it's pretty good. Like, he's pretty good with what he's done, like the finishes and everything else. But as I've always said, this is an ownership problem, and it always will be. My Twitter got shut down yesterday because of me, because of my outburst towards David Sullivan. So it tells you all you need to know, that there's people on social media prepared to shut accounts down for silence, basically, for having an opinion. Yeah.
And James, can I just ask you a quick question? I don't want to take you away from what you're saying, but if you're, just say for argument's sake, you're in the stadium, you know it's David Moyes' last game.
Yeah.
Right, or Moyes in or Moyes out.
Yeah.
As he's walking off the pitch for the last time, what's your reaction?
I'll clap him off, mate. I would. Like, he deserves respect. Like, he deserves respect. At the end of the day, this geezer hasn't relegated West Ham. He hasn't put us into financial debt.
Far from it. In fact, he's kept us at the right end of the league.
He's kept us in a sort of, well, one thing David Moyes has done that no other manager's ever done is give us a standard now. Then the standard is we want to see progression, and we want to see a top 10 side every year. Now, as a West Ham fan of many years that I am, I don't ask for a lot. I ask for a top 10 finish, and I don't think that's a lot to ask for the size of the club, the fan base, the money that we chuck out at people and everything. So if it is his final farewell against Luton at home, he deserves the respect. He deserves to be clapped off and say, thank you very much, Dave. If this is your final time.
I'm with you on that, mate.
Yeah, like I don't think sort of having a party and seeing this geezer go is the right attitude for me. Like, I'm not being funny. Avran Grant relegated us. Do you know what I mean? And there's other managers in the past that have relegated us and really stuck us
Yeah.
in the bottom end. And like, I don't think Moyes is up there in that aspect. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, he
he's
deserves
not.
respect.
He's not. Yeah, of course. And even when we were struggling last season for league position, you know, he managed. Him and the players managed to get us out of that situation. You know,
100%, mate.
and you
100%.
know that shows a bit of steel and a pair of bollocks, in my opinion. You know, so yeah, I'm with you. I would applaud him off.
The only thing I will say is I don't think it's over with Moyes just yet. I really don't, because nothing surprises me. Nothing would surprise me with Sullivan. Yeah, it
Mm.
really wouldn't. Like, the Lopetegui shout is like as I say, I knew this back in January. I knew something was happening, and I thought, you know what, it wouldn't surprise me. And I spoke to a few like sports traders, and they told me the same thing, and I was like, fair enough. And it wouldn't surprise me it's Lopetegui, but that even the appointment of Lopetegui irritates me to a point because it's not a ambitious move. Like, what we need now as a fan
It's
base
like
is
for like, isn't it? Really?
is a manager to come in and galvanise the whole club. So everyone
Mm.
goes away in the summer, realises such and such is going to be the manager, and then they can't wait to the first game of the season. Under Lopetegui, I think people are trying to literally convince themselves that he's a good appointment. When for me, he's not a good appointment. He's a cheap appointment, and he's someone who's there. Currently, right now, West Ham have a really good youth. People keep telling me, yeah, amazing youth. We've got to have this youth set up and everything. What you should do is go out and get a younger manager that fits the times. Now, you don't go out and get someone who's 3 years younger than Moyes. Doesn't make a
What's
lot.
your thoughts on Will Still?
Um,
Being that he's a West Ham fan, all right,
yeah.
okay, he hasn't got his coaching badges at the moment, but I mean that's easily remedied. You know,
If he wasn't a West Ham fan, would we be talking about him? The answer to that, I don't think is where we wouldn't. I really
well,
don't. But
personally, I disagree with that because he's the only manager in world football that's had no football experience, only um, AI, if you like,
yeah,
experience, and he's done a damn good job. He's had that team winning consistently for like nearly 3 seasons now.
I think if you want to do a project, you want to do a 5-year plan, then maybe. But I do think there is like you need someone who, well, first off, you need someone who's going to galvanise the club. That's the first thing. Like when people are going to the ground, they are excited to see West
Yeah,
Ham's team. Yeah, I don't think Graham Potter does it. I really don't. I think
no,
under Brighton, when he was at Brighton, Graham Potter, I think he had an infrastructure that helped him out massively. Yeah, he
yeah,
had an
I agree
owner.
with that.
He had an owner that was backing him to a point. And let's be honest, Brighton's standards, what are they really? Like they're not amazing standards. Like Brighton not asking to finish as high in the league as possible Europe. Yeah, a bit like us, right?
Yeah.
And obviously he went to Chelsea, got a bit fat out there, and he's been out of work. The Fonseca one is a shout, but that is a slight risk, but I think that's worth the risk in Fonseca because I think that's someone who you know that if you do give him the keys, then he can deliver on something. And then after that, there are not many managers out there now. Hans Flick is someone who's ex-German international manager. He's won trophies, I think, with Bayern Munich, if I remember rightly. He's out of work currently, and like it proved it the other day to me with Liverpool. Liverpool, big club, go out, bang, go and get Slot out of our final. 9.6 million compensation, not a problem. We'll pay it, done. And with our owner, he's sitting there waiting to see who's
You can get,
cheaper.
yeah, what you can get without having to shell out.
Yeah, and that to me, it lacks ambition for me. And then what I do see quite a lot, and it really does wind me up. I ain't going to swear on Jeff's platform because I leave it to E20, yeah. But it just winds
You
me
can
up
swear if
into
you want, mate.
it winds me up into the ground is when people keep saying, "Look at Villa, look at Aston Villa," and the problem is with Villa is they've got an ambitious owner. Their owner is ambitious. He went out and got Emery, and if you look at their substitutes, like their wages for their subs, some of them are absolute unreal. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like Luca Dina, ex-Everton, left back, plays for
Yeah.
Aston Villa. Yeah, he's on the bench. He's sitting on the bench, and he's like, he's allowed. They're allowing other people to play and things like that. And when you look at our bench and look at our team, when you
Yeah.
do go through West Ham's team, we've got about six players of quality, of top quality. After that, they're decent players.
Yeah.
That's
Last
it.
year,
Sorry, go on, Jeff.
we were all saying, look at Brighton. You're saying this
Yeah.
year, everyone's saying, look at Villa. Last year, everyone was saying, look at Brighton.
Yeah.
That's what we want to be
And
like
the year
Brighton.
before
And they
that,
play this
everyone was
football.
saying, look at what Newcastle were doing.
Right. And now
You know?
Brighton have got European football. And now they're bottom half
Yeah.
this year. Last year, we had European football, finished bottom half, but won it.
And this year,
The
we're
year before,
firmly in the top half of the table.
year before, we had European football and finished in a European qualifying place.
Mhm.
There's a cycle that goes with clubs like West Ham, like Brighton. That it's difficult to run a Premier League campaign and a European campaign and be successful and sustain it. So
unless of course you've got multi-millionaire owners that
but we're
are
talking about
willing
clubs
to
like
invest.
West Ham,
Yeah,
Brighton.
yeah, but now
Others.
Villa have got that kind of an owner though. Like
But we'll see next year
James
with Villa,
said,
right?
yeah. Well, like James said though, you know, he's willing to invest. So if they've qualified for Europe this season, and they get European competition next season, he will invest. He will bring in players so that he can sustain League and Europe. He will do that.
He can only invest what he can invest, though, right? With the rules.
Yeah, but he's well within the rules at the moment. Well within. You know, you got to remember also he's actually sold players. You know, they've actually sold players from Villa.
And you've also got to look at
Jack Grealish being one of them.
You've also got to look at Villa to a point. Is like with Emery, he attracts players to the club. That's another one who you mean I don't really see a Lopetegui attracting top quality players to the club. Now, the issue I have, and it's a major issue, is the Steidon and Sullivan relationship issue. That is the major one with me, because if Sullivan does pick the manager, which I believe he does, no, I don't think Steidon's got a word in this one. I really don't. I'd be quite shocked. Right, and let's be honest, as supporters, you will know which one's which. Like, you really will, right? But if Sullivan does pick the manager, and I do believe it is Lopetegui, it's only a matter of time before he starts undermining Steidon in recruitment. Like saying, for instance, Lopetegui needs a right back. Steidon can find one in Europe somewhere, but Sullivan's got one on the cheap from an agent, and he'll go with that one. Do you know what I'm saying? And he'll get undermined that way. And that's the fear I have. That's the genuine fear I have. Is the Steidon undermining moment, and then is he going to look at it and think I can go somewhere else and be more respected than being at West Ham?
Yeah, I mean the thing is with Sullivan, he does believe that he walks on water, doesn't he? Do you know what I mean? And
he thinks he's untouchable, mate. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And the thing is, we as fans, we got no say in what actually happens behind them gates, and the only way we have any say in it is whether we go to the stadium or not. Other than that, that's it. We've got no say in it really. But the thing is, if we fail to sell all of our season tickets this season, what happens to them? They go to people on the list, I suppose, don't they?
Yeah.
That's right.
Them season tickets will be sold, mate. 100%. Yeah, because what it is, you got the fans who say they won't go, and then there's people behind who say, you know what, I will go because I've waited for a long time to go. Maybe I can't get a ticket. You got the new fans, like the tourist fans, who they don't mind spending the money. And the thing is, this is what I've always said, and like I do get tired, I must admit, I really do. West Ham is now a franchise. When you look at West Ham London, yeah,
Yeah, of
Sullivan,
course.
have made it into a franchise. Now
Mm.
they don't need the hardcore fans anymore. Yeah, the hardcore fans really are a bonus, really, to West Ham. Yeah, because if the hardcore fans went, they would flood it with tourists. They really would, and they know what they're doing because like it's on a global scale. West Ham, Stratford, you know, like you're 15 minutes from City Airport or 10 minutes from City Airport. You're 10 minutes, 15 minutes from the Docklands. Like if you go through like Canary Wharf around that way,
Yeah.
like it's a
The
nice place
railway
to.
station's called Stratford International.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's a nice place to go for a tourist who's just come over from like Canada for a weekend. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Or a long break. Do you know what I mean? So it is a concern, but you know it's one hurdle at a time. And I think the biggest hurdle at the minute is the manager situation. It really wouldn't surprise me if Sullivan offers Moyes a contract, he's mugged off every single fan. Right, and
Well, that's
and
what I
I'm
would say as well.
yeah, and I'm waiting for that. I really am because then that is when I will go into one big time. Because if you are 9 months in and you've planned this out for all this time, and then like, you've seen the fans go backwards and forwards, you could have ended this at any time, and then you go and offer him a contract. And I actually think Moyes might reject the contract and say he want to move on. Right? I don't know why. I think Moyes might change his mind on West Ham a little bit and might think, you know what, I want a fresh start somewhere else. But it all depends on what he wants, really.
Where
If
does
I'm
it
honest.
go, though, James?
Good question.
Back
Do
to Everton.
you know what? West Ham's the best move for him at the minute. It really is. Yeah, like he's getting linked to like places like Russia and all that. I can't see that one happening, right? But for me, it all depends on how he feels, mate. If I'm honest, it's like what more can David Moyes do at West Ham? That's the real question, and the answer to that is I don't think there's any more he can do. I think he's set us up to be the club where we're at.
He's
I
Hmm.
at his
think
ceiling, isn't he, at West Ham?
yeah, yeah. I think I think our own fans have got to start looking at themselves to a point and stop keep thinking that we're bigger or we're higher than we should be. I think where we are in that bracket from 7th to 11th is where we should be. But I don't think we're definitely not a top six club. We're definitely not a Champions League club. I know that for certain.
No, but
So
we should be able to aspire to be so.
I think you can do that, but you're going to have investment, mate. You're going to have a bench
Yeah.
that is supportive of a team that is competing on for four competitions. And I think you've got to have a manager that has that same sort of ambition. Also, I think the situation with West Ham currently right now is, and listen, if anyone's ever been in any business or had any dealings with business or anything like that, they understand what I'm about to say. You don't plan 3 months. You plan a year, 2 years in advance of where you want to be, like where you want your business to go. Like Sullivan at the minute is living from month to month. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's just mad. Like we as fans, we should know who the next manager is going to be, right? And if it comes to Luton at home and they still don't tell us, then it's like it's an insult, really, really. But it also, I know what Sullivan's trying to do. He's trying to keep his cards close to his chest. He's looking at Lopetegui. He's looking at Fonseca. He's looking at all the free agents, managers currently right now. If he doesn't get any of them managers, he's got the backup plan of Moyes, and that's what it is. Because I can't see him buying anyone out of a contract because he's never done it.
Yeah.
So you know, it's
It's
interesting.
interesting what you said, James, about the club being a 10th to 7th place. That's kind of what your expectations or you imagine from West Ham.
Yeah,
And other people might have different views, and there's nothing wrong with being ambitious. But
yeah,
funnily enough, as we thought we'd be talking about Moyes and his performance, and is he a managerial wizard or is he a footballing dunce, as the thumbnail says? So I took some notes of this is our 28th season in the Premier League.
Mm.
We've had 12 top 10 finishes out of that. 5 top 7 finishes, right? And 2 top 6 finishes. We've been relegated as often as we've been finished in the top 6, right? We've had 2 relegations and 2 top 6 finishes. So of the 5 top 7 finishes, Moyes is responsible for both of them. Now, I've heard it said by people and seen comments saying, yeah, but Glenn Roeder got us a top 7 finish. Well, he did, but he got us relegated the following season.
Did you?
So I think if you start looking at stuff like that, it's quite relative. So half of the time we finish in the top 10. Sometimes we finish in the top 7, and rarely we finish in the top 6, right? Now, we're looking to progress that and go further. We were promised to go to the next level through our move to Stratford, world-class stadium, etc., world-class team, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
What I would say is, where we are now, with the European football consecutively over the years, finishing 6th and 7th, it kind of is the next level for us. And if anyone thought we were going to go immediately to top 4, I think that's crazy, right? So
it's over it.
we have to establish ourselves as a regular European side in the top 6.
Yeah, of course.
And then the step from there is to try and progress to become a top 4 side or a Champions League side. So we don't look like we're going to finish in the European places this year. It'd be a miracle if we did.
Yeah.
But we have taken steps to try and get to that next level.
But if we don't, it's not the end of the world. Like, I think people get a bit sort of, if we don't get Europe, then that's it. Like some big clubs haven't had Europe for season. Arsenal didn't have Europe for one season. Chelsea haven't had Europe in certain moments. And when I look at us, even Spurs this year, that's a prime example. So maybe Europe would be us not having Europe ain't a bad thing. Do you know what I'm saying? The difference is now is that with West Ham, I expect a top 10 finish every year. And if we don't get a top 10 finish, I want to know reasons why we didn't. Do you know what I mean? Like last season, people moaned about the 14th place finish. Said, "Oh, look at us, we finished 14th." But there's been times before when we finished 14th and not won nothing. Do you know what I mean? Not won anything. Never looked like. Never looked like winning anything.
I mean, you can kind of forgive the head turn on the league because we did do so well in the Conference League. We kind of got our heads turned a little bit by that, and we went through that. Were we unbeaten right through that or not? No, we weren't, were we?
Yeah. We was unbeaten. We done it unbeaten. We didn't lose a game.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Here's a question, right?
I mean that in itself is a massive achievement. Sorry, Jeff, I'll let you get on in a sec.
No,
that's a massive
achievement. I'll ask it.
That's a massive achievement. Going through a European competition, regardless of what level you think that is. It's a European competition. We played against some bloody good teams in that competition. And other good teams were in that competition that we didn't have to face. But we got through to the quarterfinals of that. I mean, to the final of that, and won it unbeaten. That in itself is an achievement. At one point, we were the highest rated UK club for unbeaten run in Europe. And then obviously City have gone on to beat that. So, we can hold our heads high, and we've had some really, really good achievements under David Moyes. Really good achievements. But like, Jeff and you both alluded to earlier, he's hit a ceiling. And I actually think he exceeded his ceiling by us winning last year.
No one expected Moyes to come in, and take West Ham on that European journey.
Totally,
everyone would have been happy, over the moon, if West Ham would have finished top 10 under Moyes. And then what it was, because he'd done so well, people have had a taste of Europe, had a taste of their moments, like, Lyon and Seville and, Prague. Like, they've had their moments and they're like, I want to have that again. So what it is, the standard's been raised up to a level. Now, I'm not sort of, how can I put this in a sort of polite way? People seem to forget where we've come from to where we are currently right now. But then what it is with Moyes is that he's the one who seems to get a lot of the slack, and then the people behind him or upstairs don't get mentioned at all. Now, for instance, Nottingham Forest this season away from home, West Ham lose 2-0, poor game. Calvin Phillips gets sent off. The banners start coming out. Moyes out. Fair enough, that's fine. But then someone pulls out a GSB one. Now, if that is the case, why are you not preaching that every day, morning, noon, and night, 7 days a week? Like, why are you starting it now when you've known the situation has been going like this for the last 8 months? Now, that's the issue I don't understand. Like, I don't understand where people are trying to, like, what is that? Are they trying to put pressure on the owners to get him out the door, or is it they want the owners out the door, or I don't know what it is. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, when I look at it, I'm very mixed with Moyes, because he's done all right. His football style is not the best, and it needs to be improved. And let's be honest, if he does go, then fair enough. But I am very, very concerned about Sullivan's appointment. I really am, because it's like it could be a Pellegrini 2.0, and in 18 months' time, people will be wanting him out the door and all. So, you know.
Yeah, good point.
The question I was going to ask there, right? Last year we finished 14th. Not everyone, but whatever section of people, fans, were up in arms. Dreadful. We were awful in the lead. We're in a relegation battle all season, and we finished 14th, and then we won a trophy. Right.
Yeah.
This year we're going to finish outside the European places. If next year we're in a relegation battle for whatever period of the season down the bottom half, end up finishing 13th, 14th, and win the FA Cup, would you be happy, or would you be throwing your toys out? I know how I would feel about it.
I'll be over the moon if we won
I'm
a trophy.
interested to see what yous would be like.
If we won a trophy, if we won the FA Cup, I think the FA Cup still haunts a lot of West Ham fans, Jeff. 2006 really does grind on a lot of people, including myself. Like being seconds away from winning it, and then being done on a penalty shootout in probably the best FA Cup final ever, to a point, is borderline like a choker. Do you know what I'm saying? If West Ham finished 14th next season and won an FA Cup, I'll be over the moon. I'll be like, fair enough. Look, finish 14th, but you've got that trophy. Because the way I look at it is now is you've got to look at this, and like the history of Upton Park's gone. That's gone now. That ain't ever going to return.
You've got to build a new history.
You've got to make your new history, yeah, and you've got to make memories. Like, and the thing is, with a lot of people, they're trying to run before they can walk in life, and they should be be enjoying where we're at now. The real issue from like Moyes moving forward is the direction. Now, if West Ham was to go and win a League Cup, FA Cup, yeah, we can't be like picky about that. But there's some fans and there's some supporters who still knock the trophy that we did win. I did on E20 the other day, for example. I'll just quickly say this, Jeff. I had someone say to me, James, but anyone could have won that trophy. Any good manager could have won that trophy. And I said, well, basically, it doesn't matter. Moyes did win that trophy. He did.
There were other good managers in that competition that didn't.
Yeah, and there's been times before, and you remember this, Wigan away where we lost FA Cup, Oxford away where we got absolutely obliterated under Pellegrini, Wimbledon away when we lost 4-2 on BBC on I think it was a Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening. Like, there's been times where we've lost games. I think people think West Ham are better than what they are. Yeah, and I do love the ambition, but you've got to be realistic. And I do think people have told the public the standard of managers that we're going to get, and then it's come down to the reality now. People are seeing the reality of the managers that we're going to get instead of the make believe. Like Almarin, I see what Wazin Butt says there about obviously Almarin, yeah, but it's Sullivan, mate. Like if it's any other owner, I'm with you 100%. 100%. I'm saying right, yeah, I believe it. Not under Sullivan, yeah, just doesn't happen. And then when you sort of really do go diving into it, we're going to get served up someone who is basically a cheap appointment to a point.
Well, if we finish 14th and win the FA Cup, I'll jump through hoops.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That might not be mirrored by all fans, and I can't speak for all fans. But for me personally, I'll be jumping through hoops. And if we finished 14th the following year and won the Europa League because we qualified for it, I'll be jumping through hoops again.
See,
Yeah. Well,
there's
if
another
we finish 14th
Cups are
and win
brilliant,
nothing,
right?
Yeah.
We're never
See,
going to win the league, but cups are brilliant.
There's another way of turning this around. Yeah, and I asked this to both of you. But if West Ham finished 7th, but lost in an FA Cup final, what would be sort of more? What would you want more, the 7th or the FA Cup final?
I'd want to finish 14th and win the FA Cup.
That's what I'm saying. So basically, if I spin that around and say it doesn't matter where we finish in the league, that FA Cup final is always going to matter. It's always going to matter to any fan. Like
what
whether
if we finish 14th and win win nothing?
Yeah, yeah. Like, but
would you be happy with a 14th place finish?
Do you know what? If we got to a final of a competition, you've always got to like, how can people turn that away? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I think with me and with you also, you've seen West Ham at their lowest. Yeah, you've seen West Ham climbing up the table, struggling to get a team out sometimes. Yeah, and like 14th place finish to me is just no one remembers it in 10 years. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you asked, if I have children in the near future and I speak to my son or daughter and I turn around and say, right, on the 23rd of, on the 7th of June 2023, West Ham won the Conference League, but they finished 14th. They ain't gonna care where they finished. Do you know what I'm saying? They just ain't gonna care. Like, because it's irrelevant, isn't it? Like, who cares about that? They've won something, so it was mad. It was mad.
Yeah. And I agree with that.
You said in voice in the YouTube world. Evening, Mark. Thanks for joining us. So stick with David Moyes. And that's a voice you don't hear so much on social media and YouTube channels. He also goes on to say, fix the back line and we'll be fine. We do need to fix the back line.
Yeah,
that's for certain.
He's not wrong now. But I mean, the thing is, like at the moment, sorry, earlier on, James, you said something about building new memories and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like Upton Park was full of memories for many, many people for many, many reasons. And the last game at Upton Park is probably something in any long-term West Ham fans' mind. Anybody that's supported us for 10 years plus, right? So it's I mean, whether they were there or watched it on TV or have watched it on YouTube, more recently or whatever, doesn't matter. If you've watched the game, and you know the importance and the significance of that game, then it's going to stick in your mind. That's, like you say, that's building memories. And I think, like when we first came to the London Stadium, we weren't playing great, but we had Dimitri Payet, which kind of lightened the load for the club a little because he was creating individual memories, like, them free kicks and, that little jinky run he did against Blackburn, was it?
Yeah,
Middlesbrough. Yeah. And those they're the kind of early memories from that stadium. But now, we've now got 3 years of European nights in that stadium to remember. We've got, beating Manchester City, the Carabao Cup, serial winners. We beat them on penalties in that stadium, and, we've beaten, big teams, Liverpool, we've beaten Arsenal in that stadium. These are memories that are being built, as you rightly said earlier. But bringing an FA Cup to that stadium would kind of, for me, make it just that little bit more like a home ground for us.
The only thing I will say to that is that when I look at what happened after Prague like the parade and everything. And like,
Yeah.
obviously, I've got a lot of videos on my phone, a lot of stuff and everything.
Yeah.
You start going back and you start sort of reminiscing. And then I start seeing people sort of slag off the trophy, and then slagging off the trophy to have a dig at the manager. Now, to me, that's just not right. Yeah, you can slag off Moyes, like Moyes deserves stick at the best of times with stuff he's done, whether that's tactics, signings, whatever. But slagging him off for the trophy and saying that anyone could go and win it and everything, and then people are celebrating it like it's the best thing ever. Yeah, and then they're knocking it up straight after. I don't think's right. Like for me,
while they're wearing the commemorative T-shirt for it or something.
Yeah, and I'm just looking like this, and I think to myself, like, I've never seen West Ham win anything. I've seen West Ham get relegated twice. I've seen West Ham go out of business. I've seen West Ham losing a playoff final. I've seen quite a lot of heartache, and then when you have a bit of joy, I just think to myself, like, you can take the trophy should be separate.
Yeah, just bloody enjoy it, mate.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, just enjoy it. Why are you people in it? I mean, I still look. I know a lot of people were going to laugh at this, but I still take pride in the fact that we won the Intertoto Cup. You know, because all right, okay, you know, you got to also remember for 2 seasons running in Europe, we got beaten by chip shop workers and farmers. That's for 2 years running. So you know, even the small cups mean something.
Yeah, but do you feel though that and I asked this to the parents, do you feel that what people are making out that West Ham is at a level than what we're actually at? Like for me, where we currently are, right? And I asked this to someone the other day, funny enough. I said, name me a position in the Premier League where West Ham you would say is that position. Now, 1 to 20, right? And the person who said it to me, he said 8th. So they're eighth in the league. Like he said, West Ham are about roughly where they are. Are West Ham got better resources than Newcastle United? No, Newcastle got a run by a state like West Ham ain't. Do you know what I'm saying? And then when you sort of really break it down, really break it down, we are competing with Villa to a point. But what it is with Villa is they've got the ambitious owner, we haven't. And after Villa, after Newcastle, I think we're better than Brentford. I think we're better than Brighton. I think we're better than all these other like Wolves and Bournemouth and things like that. So West Ham should be in the top half competing. The difference is that where we've been, no other club have been there. Do you know what I mean? Newcastle had their run, but if you was to ask a Geordie, like, would you go in the Conference League just to go and win it? I think they would. I think they generally would because they want to win a trophy. So
but it's only like. I mean, like, okay, we can all take the piss out of Spurs for withdrawing from the competition and that because they didn't feel like it was at their standard. But, you know, now I know quite a few Spurs fans, one of them being a really close friend of mine. And they're all saying to me, all of them are saying to me, do you know what? Actually, fucking fair play to you lot because you went out there, you did it unbeaten, you showed them all what British football can be and this and that, blah, 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 you know, and all those kinds of things. And they're all really happy. All the guys I know anyway are really happy that we went there and did that. And they're saying, I just wish we'd done the same the season before, like when Roma won it. You know, I said to my mate Dave, who I talk to quite a lot, I said to him, look, you know, would you, you know, given up moving to your new stadium for a Conference League win? He went, yeah, definitely. So,
in answer to your question, James, I tend to agree with you. I think we are around about where we should be.
Yeah, I believe that too.
And in terms of the spending table reflects that we're about where we should be. I've just had a quick look at the Premier League table and I'm looking at the teams above us and I'm thinking, okay, out of these teams, who should we be above? And there's Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Villa, Spurs, Man United, and Newcastle are all above us, and the team directly below us is Chelsea.
So we're kind of
Now
punching
you could
above our weight,
argue
really.
that.
Then,
So you could argue that perhaps Newcastle, prior to their injection of money, we might consider they were only promoted a couple of years ago, so maybe they're overachieving a little bit. We could argue that Villa have had a little flurry and they're up, but we're there and thereabouts, round about where we should be, aren't we?
I agree. Listen,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. But the problem is, people overhype West Ham and think that we should be higher than where we're at. Now, listen, it's all about ambition. I'm all for that. That's the whole point why we left Upton Park to go to Stratford. Like, I want West Ham to be ambitious. I want West Ham to be competing for top six. The issue I have is that you saying it and believing that it is, and then the reality setting in and saying, "Well, this is not right. This is not where we're at." Like, it's like saying West Ham should be competing for Champions League. Like, we're nowhere near it. Like, do you get what I'm saying? So when I do look at this, I do see people whose expectations have gone up due to Moyes, and it's the same people that when they expect West Ham to be top six.
Not just due to Moyes, though, James. Due to the rhetoric that the board have used as well.
Yeah.
And people are taking that as you promised us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
and to be fair, in the last 3 seasons, he's delivered.
Moyes has lifted those expectations through his performance. And there's nothing wrong with us wanting to be regular top six side, or aspire to be a Champions League side. And it's great. That's where ambition comes in. Like, there's a between ambition and then reality, as you say, of where you are. So aspiring to be there, breaking into that arena, great.
Yeah.
Staying in it is a different story.
Yeah.
See,
and
the thing is,
it's
the thing is, even with Aston Villa currently right now, Villa. Let's see where Villa are in 12 months' time. Like, if Villa are up there consistently, then you can say, well, hold a minute, the dial has changed a little bit. But if this could be a one-off, like they could have a good run.
It could be a Leicester City scenario.
Could be, you know what I mean? It could be that, or it could be a Newcastle United one, like where Newcastle was up there last year. Everyone thought, oh well, next season they're going to be competing for the Premier League. They're not. And you know, it's like we've got to stay in our lane to a point. I don't like to say that as a fan or as a supporter of this club, because I want West Ham to be the best they can. But you've also got to have a bit of reality and a bit of sense to say, you know what?
Yeah.
Like where we are.
And reality sets in when you think, right, we were in the Europa League. Yes, we got to the semi-final, but we got beaten by the eventual winner. Okay.
Yeah.
We go into the Conference League, we win it, unbeaten. We go back into the Europa League, we get beaten in the quarterfinal. We don't know if we're going to win it yet, but we get beaten in the quarterfinal by a very good team, by the way. And, you know, that's kind of our peak, I think, in the Europa League as we stand right now.
Yeah.
With a little more investment, a bit more a progressive coach even, you know, and I also believe that bringing through a few of the youth players into the first team setup on a permanent basis, nothing but good for the club, because now you've got established players like your Soufals and your Emersons and this and that going, if I don't perform, this little whippersnapper is going to take my slot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it would kind of motivate the squad a bit more, whereas I think David Moyes only uses the youth because out of necessity, if I'm honest.
I think he's been caught this year though, Budge. One thing I will say is that when he's trying to, let me get this right, when he's trying to earn a contract to a point, he's trying to sort of do it on a results-based business. Can he really have time to sort of allow a youth player to come in and, do you know what I mean? Moyes likes to stick with his tried and tested. Like, that's his safety thing. Do you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong.
Part of his flaws, though, isn't it?
That is part of his flaws. But it's like,
I've left that comment up. Sorry, don't interrupt you, James. Just want to. I've left this comment up for a little while just because I think it's quite a poignant part. We're saying about the development and introduction of youth is a bit of a flaw of Moyes, and I think it absolutely is. And as Di Canio here says, one reason to want Moyes out is he has not taken a domestic cup seriously, e.g. Liverpool away and also Arsenal away when he was here for the first time round. And he hasn't got a great record in the domestic cups. And here we are talking earlier about that would be an ambition for a club like West Ham to win a League Cup or an FA Cup. And it's questionable if perhaps he's the right man to lead us to that.
The only question with that, the only thing I have to say to that is name me another manager who has took the sort of cup serious. Because Village didn't take the cup serious really to a point. Like Pellegrini definitely didn't.
Even go back to managers in other clubs. Alex Ferguson, he fielded 6 out of his 11 were youth players, weren't they?
Yeah,
one FA Cup competition. He kept playing them throughout every. He win a few rounds. I can't remember.
He was winning championships, so wasn't he, Ferguson? That's the difference.
Yeah, but even when West Ham, I remember a game years ago under Big Sam when West Ham played Nottingham Forest in the FA Cup. Went up to Forest and it was all for the youth players. Lost 5-0. So it's.
Yeah, I'm never suggesting that you would put 5 or 6 players into the side, but having them in the first team set up permanently. I mean, day after day, training with the guys, eating with the guys, showering with the guys. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, integrated.
And then get in there 20 minutes or 8 minutes or their 15 minutes or whatever the case may be, once every 2 or 3 weeks. I think I would be good for the younger guys, and it would also, as I said, it would motivate the established players to think, hang on a minute, this guy's been around for the last 4 or 5 weeks. Is he thinking about putting him in my slot?
Listen, I'm all for the youth. I grew up on the Academy of Football when we had Cole, Carrick, Glenn Johnson, Defoe, all them players. So listen, I'm all for that. I've seen some really good youth players come through. But over since that sort of Academy of Football era, who we really had, Deck, who's come out of the academy, who's gone on to do amazing things. After that, your head scrambling a little bit to think, well, who else has come out of there who's really done great? Anton, maybe. Anton was a player come through the academy. Other than that, maybe I'm missing something, but there hasn't been many. There hasn't been many.
Right.
And there hasn't been many.
Funny, because when you were saying about that era, I was thinking, you're going back a long way, and we haven't had a lot in between. And that's exactly the point you're making. Right? Yeah. There has been 1 or 2, but we're not
individuals, but they haven't really sort of broken through into our first team. A couple of the lads that have kind of done well as youth players at West Ham have gone on to go on to a transfer or go out on loan and permanently transfer and then do well. Exactly.
Obviously you got Mark. Mark obviously come through the academy. He had a good. He had a good spell with West Ham, good years with West Ham. But when you sort of weigh it up, you've got Deck, who's sort of a player who's that's world class potential, isn't it? I mean, it's world class ability.
But you're going back 20 odd years, right? And you can count on one hand the successful players that have come through. Yeah. Just want to go back to this point from Di Canio, which I think is really quite a good point as well. Is he wonders what the players who won the trophy think of our fans who knock their trophy win. And
that's a great point.
It's a really great point, isn't it?
Well, there's 2 ways of looking at that. Right, it's knocking the trophy win as players, and there's also knocking the manager. What the players are thinking about, the fans are knocking the manager for the trophy win, so to speak. But that's a different scenario altogether.
And Mark says here, look, we are a top 7 club and a Europa League and Conference League category. Good recruitment, who knows? And I take that point, but that's kind of where we've moved to. And it's sort of within recent years, really. It's kind of Moyes who's taken us
kind of
there
Moyes
now.
that's put us at that point. Yes.
Right. Now, whether
Yeah.
we've done that in spite of Moyes or because of Moyes,
No, it's
that's a
because of.
different debate. People can,
Because of. Definitely.
have an opinion on that. But
Mm.
prior to, we weren't a regular European side, were we?
No.
No, no.
No, and as you say, people can have an opinion on it, but if it don't match mine, they're wrong. Simple.
I agree. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to say this because I'm going to have to make a move in a minute. Yeah, because Mrs. wants to go out and get some vapes. I think it is. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with her. What I'm going to say is this: that when you do look at West Ham currently right now, we're not that bad. Like as in the squad type of thing. That can be sorted out in the summer. A little bit of a major overhaul in the summer, and obviously sort the manager situation out. But I do think the manager situation needs to be sorted out as soon as possible. Like I would like it to be done by the 1st of June. Like whether Moyes is going, staying, and
I think there's actually a time limit on the 4th of June before.
Season
I think
ticket
there's
renewals.
a time limit on it by the 4th of June. I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure I heard that on somebody else's show yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, this needs to be addressed right now. Really, like whether he's going or staying.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me. Like there's two scenarios that I think could happen. Yeah. The first scenario, I think he goes, and that's it. And Lopetegui comes in. Yeah, I think Lopetegui is firmly in the frame, and if he does come to the club, I'm fearing it a little bit. The second scenario that he goes off into the sunset, Moyes, and they have a discussion, and then Sullivan offers him a new deal. Then the fans can't get to him. The fans can't moan. The fans can moan on social media, but they can't get to the club, if that makes sense. They can't do protests and everything like that. That would not surprise me in the slightest if he does that, because let's be honest, if you go back to a few moments this year, Brentford at home, I remember the game Monday night, 8 o'clock kickoff. There was Moyes was under a hell of a lot of pressure, and basically he was told to say that the board of turned around and said they're going to discuss the contract at the end of the year, killed the argument stone dead. That was it. It really wouldn't surprise me if they get this season done, have a couple of weeks, and then they had talks, and Sullivan offers him a contract. Whether Moyes accepts the contract, though, is another thing. That I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. Right? Should Moyes accept it with the way our fan base has been? Probably not. He'll probably go, you know what, maybe not. I've done my time there. But it's all something you said, Jeff, at the start. Is this the best job he's going to have? And I think it is really in the Prem. If you look at it for stature, money, where we're actually trying to go to, West Ham's not a bad club to manage. So
if the Celtic job comes up, maybe.
I think the only thing with the Celtic job, I'll say this quick, is that what direction are they going to look to go into? Because even them, that they are a massive club, i.e. for like franchises, as in Scotland, but also in Europe. Like, do you know what I mean? Do they really want to go down the route of David Moyes, or would they rather go for someone who is up and coming, so to speak? Like Brendan Rodgers is there now. Maybe like it's a sentimental thing with a lot of people, but I just don't see it with them. I think like they would look at it. I think you've got more chance of David Moyes managing Scotland than you have Celtic. I really do.
I actually believe you've got more chance of him going to Rangers to see if he can squeeze Celtic out of top slot.
Yeah, like I just don't see it, Budge. I really don't. I don't see them clubs wanting to go down that path with Moyes. I don't. But as an international manager,
I can see him going back to Everton,
though. I think. See, they're not happy with Dietz, mate. They seriously are not. No, they're not, mate. Nah.
And that's why I'm saying, if he walks this season, I can see him walking straight into Everton.
Some Evertonians are very mixed on him, like literally mixed on Dietz.
Yeah, and there are a lot that would love to have him back too.
And I think what it is with Moyes is that
Dyche helped himself when he said in an interview the other week about when I first came in, I was the messiah, and now things are going quite so well. I don't think he enamoured himself for a lot of people when he said
Yeah.
that, because I don't
Yeah.
think they ever looked at him as some kind of messiah. And
Yeah.
yeah,
was
managers say silly things sometimes, and Moyes has done that
I think he
as
was
well.
always a temporary appointment for Everton.
I look at it like that with Everton. If Everton was to get rid of Dyche and Moyes was there, I think it works both ways. Like Everton have gone down this mad route of having Ancelotti. They've had all these other managers in the last few years, and then look at them like the situation they're in now. They need someone who's going to steady the ship and build them back up again. David Moyes, isn't it? Like, that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? So,
That's what he does.
yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me with that, but gents, I'm gonna have to make a move. But Jeff,
Nice to see you again, James.
No worries, James. Thanks for joining us.
No worries, mate. Take care.
Right.
See you soon.
And
so
he was gone, and there he
He
was.
is gone. Yeah. Mark
So
here is saying Bayern Munich are 2-1 up. Kane's got a penalty. So, and I believe there's a campaign starting from the Bayern fans now to even perhaps try and persuade Tuchel or the board to get Tuchel to stay. So
really,
be interesting if they were to go on and win the Champions League. Maybe he would. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of disharmony because they're not getting their usual, title. There's a lot of disharmony because they're serial winners out there, aren't they?
They are, but the German fans have got probably a bit more power about them than the English fans because there's kind of like 50% owned, aren't they?
51% ownership,
yeah.
Fan ownership, 51% in Germany, I believe it is. Somebody mentioned it on Tony's stream the other night, and there's a similar thing in Belgium and Holland, I believe. But anyway, Germany definitely, 51%. So, they've got a lot more say in what goes on in the club.
Yeah, I think they got a lot more input with their thing. So James, before he left, did mention about a bit of a major rebuild. In the summer.
No, he said a little bit of a major rebuild.
A little bit of a major rebuild. I think the little bit was a bit of an understatement.
Yeah, and, definitely.
Funnily enough, I did. As you know, I've made a few slides up because we're talking about Moyes and his record, and there's good things and bad things to discuss about him. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But perhaps part of it is going to be what might be his legacy. And at the moment, the legacy he leaves us in terms of squad, potentially at least, it's not looking too good, is it?
So what I take it, the highlighted
orange
ones
here
are the ones that are going to go, or potentially going to go.
I mean, obviously we don't know for sure because I've put Agard in there, and we don't know that he's going to go. But there's certainly rumours that he's dissatisfied and has got itchy feet, so I've put him as a potential leaver. So these are all really people that potentially going to leave. So if they were all to leave, which I'm sure they won't all leave, we'll be left with 8 of our first team squad.
Superb.
Out
of those highlighted players, hang on.
Yeah.
1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. Maybe
well, we could take them one by one.
Maybe 8 of those players will get money for. And that would be Anang, Again,
Yeah, I don't know if he'll leave. By the way, I've just
no,
highlighted
no,
him
no, no.
because
I'm
his
just,
contract
I'm just playing along
expires,
the
right?
same lines that you've played. If he were to go, well, if any of these players were to leave, we would get nothing for Fabianski. We'd probably get a fee for Anang, Agard, nothing for Zuma, nothing for Bonner, nothing for Creswell, maybe a token payment for Creswell from someone like Wolves or someone, like 1.5 or something.
His contract expires, so he's going to go for free.
Oh,
right?
he's going to go for a free.
Yeah.
Sufal, we may get a couple of million for him. We only paid 5 for him in the beginning.
I think we probably give him an extension, and he's probably here next year. But again,
Yeah.
his contract
Johnson, we
expires.
would
So
get
he's in.
fee for somewhere around 18.
Johnson goes for free because his contract expires.
Oh, there you go. So we get nothing for him. Nothing for Phillips because we've paid
Phillips,
to have pleasure.
yeah,
At him.
returns on loan.
Ben Rama, we may
get a free
fee.
for.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a fee for him. We'll definitely get a fee for Paqueta. Maybe get a Cornet fee. Nothing
If we can
for,
get anyone to take
nothing
him.
for Antonio, and maybe something from Obama if he was to go.
Obama's contract expires, so
there you go. So you're going to get nothing for him. So actually, out of the 8 that I thought we might get money for, there's 3. Anang, Agard, and Paqueta. Maybe for Ben Rama as well. So 4.
Might get something for Ings if you can find a taker token.
Oh, mate, listen, what is he? 31. Yeah, maybe. You see, the thing is, even though Michael Antonio's 34, I'd extend him.
Yeah, me too.
For another year. I mean, after the way he's been performing since he's come back from that injury, he's kind of fighting for his place, I think, and wants to stay. I mean, you see him in any kind of interview situation. It doesn't matter if he's talking about football or not. He loves this club. He loves being at this club. So I'd give him another extension, another year at least.
I would too, but the point of it is really, we talk about the transfer market and the money he's spent over the period that he's been here. This might not be reflective of what actually happens, right? I imagine Anang probably stays. Fabianski gets extended.
I wouldn't be disappointed with that either, by the way.
Yeah, Zuma probably doesn't go this summer. He's probably here next year, right?
Yeah.
Ogbonna shouldn't be here. Agard wants to leave. Cresswell's going to go. Kufau's probably here. Johnson's going to go. Phillips is going to return. Ben Rama will probably be sold. Paqueta, question marks, but we definitely get a fee for him if he does go. Cornet, if we can find a taker for him, I think he probably should go for the benefit of everyone. Ings, I'd take a couple of million quid just to get him off the books. Antonio, I would extend. And Obama's probably going to go because he doesn't want to sign a new contract at the moment.
You see, the thing is with Cornet, but
it's not a good legacy, is it?
No,
if he goes, if that's what we're left
with Cornet, if you had a manager of a decent ilk, I think there's a player in there. And I think there's more than just a player. I think there's an exceptional player in there.
Cornet, you're talking about?
I really rate him. I really do. I know a lot of people.
His injuries is a problem, I think.
Yeah, but then we said the same about Antonio 3 years ago.
Wazim says it's a massive rebuild job. 7 or 8 players needed. I don't think there's any question. And Mark says we need homegrown players. He's absolutely right. We definitely need homegrown players. But some of the youth players, we were touched on earlier about we haven't really produced that much over the years, certainly recently. But this crop, there's some promising youngsters in there, and hopefully 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 of those might be able to migrate into the first team squad next year. That I really hope that's the case, because as West Ham fans, we always want to see the youth come through and be promoted and be one of our own. And it's been a while since we've really had one. I've never got Rice, but he kind of came from Chelsea as a teenager, didn't he?
Yeah. When you look at that list, Jeff, I've just noticed something, that we lost a homegrown player about 3 or 4 years ago who still plays for us, in Mikel Antonio.
Oh,
'Cause
right, yeah.
until he started playing for Jamaica, he was classified as a homegrown player. So
Does he
now
not
that he
still
plays,
qualify?
I don't know. That's a question I'm going to have to investigate. Does he
Barry
become?
says we'll have to integrate some youth into the team and get a few in the transfer window, which is obviously that's exactly what we were saying. And evening, Barry. Thanks for joining us again. Good to see you back.
Yeah.
Sorry, Budgie.
No. It's all right. No, it's just I was just saying it's something that I'd have to look into, I suppose. But unless anyone in the chat knows, does his homegrown status change when his international allegiance changed?
No, because some of the players that qualify as homegrown don't play for home nations, do they? But then they have to be attached to a club or trained by the club for a certain amount of time to qualify as homegrown.
Oh, don't know. I suppose so. Yeah, I suppose it must be. Yeah.
Kenny O's saying we should give Potts a chance next season in the first team squad.
That's
And
exactly one of the players I had in mind.
And I would hope that Flynn Downs comes back into the fold and might be integrated into our squad next year.
I hope so, because I think him and Alvarez next to each other will be. In fact, you've missed Alvarez off that. Oh, no, you haven't. He's right at the top there. I think Alvarez and Flynn Downs will work really well together. I really do.
Yeah, I might have missed Alvarez off of that list, actually.
No, you didn't. He's on the top right-hand side.
Yeah.
It's all right. I didn't see it.
Wazim says Tosin is available on free and is a homegrown. I tell you what, I really like that player. And I thought we should have gone for him when Fulham got relegated a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't. And maybe we will now.
Now he's on a free.
I really like him. I think he's a fine player. That Tosin Adebayo or something his name is.
Yeah.
Fulham. I do like him.
And he played alongside Areola at Fulham, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
So yeah, he'll know something.
And Mark's just saying Freddie Potts, Callum Marshall, still have Flynn Downs. I also really like Ollie Scholes. I'm a little bit frustrated that we saw him a couple of years ago. I quite liked what I saw from him. And then he's not been really near the first team since, and I really scratched my head about that. I think he would have been absolutely brilliant understudy to Emerson. And missed an opportunity there. But this is another area where Moyes really falls down. He lets himself down for me. He's got some quality.
Yeah, there are sources that tell me that David Moyes or one of his senior staff are at every youth team match.
Yeah, I've heard Russ say that on the West End Network, because he goes to all the youth games as well, doesn't he? So he's sort of eyes and ears of the YouTube world in that respect.
Yeah.
Because he gets to see the youngsters and he gets to see who does or doesn't attend the youngsters' games as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So yeah. Without Europe, we need a squad of 20 players made up 3 or 4 youth players. Yeah. 3 or 4 youth players in a 20-man squad sounds fine.
Well, we've got a 22-man squad now.
Yeah, true.
And we've, had European football.
So
it is feasible. Might not be ideal, but it is feasible to have a 20.
Yeah, but we've got a 22-man squad with 5 goalkeepers in it. And 11 midfielders.
So Barry says, with a new manager, Obama will sign a new contract. So will
I'm
a few
hoping
others,
so.
like Earthy, Scarles and Orford. I don't actually know the contract status of any of those lads. Obviously, I'm aware about Obama.
I'm just going to quickly run to the
I don't know
bathroom,
if they're...
Jeff.
Yeah, no problem. You carry
I'll
on,
be back
Budge.
in a second.
So perhaps you can enlighten me, Barry, if you do know if their contracts are expiring. Are you saying I would personally get Obama and could do it into the first team? He's built like a tank. Boxes as well. Perfect understudy to Antonio. Yeah, and Case is another one, I believe, that people think could make an impact in the first team squad. So it really would be nice to see more youngs. I think as West Ham fans, we're all craving for that. They have to be good enough, of course, but I do think that in this crop, we've got a few that really got the potential to break into the first team. Yeah, that's it, Kenny. I thought it was something like that. Yeah, he's a homegrown. I'll let Budgie know when he gets back. Yeah, and I was aware of that, Kenny. Yeah. Yeah, we know you're here, Barry, and it's a pleasure to have you. I hope your missus enjoyed the meal that you prepared for her. Okay, that's interesting. You're saying someone close to the under-21 team, they all want to sign and stay with us, but won't sign if Moyes is here. Does that include the likes of Mubama and Johnson, Barry? Do you know that, or are you not aware? I'm going to grab another beer, Budgie, and I'll just let you read that comment from Barry regarding the youngsters,
right?
And see what you think. Give us a bit of
Apparently,
feedback.
someone close to the under-21 team, they all want to sign and stay with us, but won't sign if Moyes is here. Now, I'd be cautious about someone close to the under-21 team if they're not naming themselves. I'd be cautious to believe it, but if that is the case, then you can kind of understand their reasoning for it because they're not getting a chance in the senior squad. You know, they're getting the occasional minutes here and there, and then, like you said earlier, Jeff, you know, they're not seen again.
They've got to believe they're going to get an opportunity. You know, aside from the fact that they need to be good enough. If they're not good enough, they're not going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, at one time. Yeah, at one time.
But if they are, they need to get a chance, don't they?
Yeah, at one time we all used to believe that our academy was going to produce first team players, you know, ones that would eventually bring money to the club as well, like, you know, the likes of Lampard and Rio and so on and so forth. You know, we had a belief in our youth system, and so did our youth. But these days, you know, like if that comment is accurate in any way, shape, or form, then you can understand why that feeling would be around the under-21 squad. You know, they're next in line to go into the first team, you know, morally, if you like. But, yeah, I don't know. I would like to know who it was that said that. But, you know, if it's true, then I can understand it.
Real Madrid have equalised.
2-2. Nice.
DiCanio's off. So thanks for joining us, DiCanio.
Thank you, DiCanio.
Good night.
Thanks for joining us, sir. Obama's parents and Earthy's dad. Well, if that's the case, then it's pretty good source, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
and you know, you would think that any of these younger players are going to have, you know, their parents are going to have their best interest at heart, and you know, they're not going to just say this to stir up the honeypot, as it were. So
Yeah, the
yeah,
thing is, I believe that, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I believe that Marshall's parents were behind pushing it for him to go to West Brom. Thought that would be a good move and would sort of
yeah,
drive
yeah.
us behind that.
That's what I've heard too.
And as it kind of worked out. So, of course, if you want your son to be successful, you want him to come on to the next level and push on. But I don't know if they're all qualified to make the right decisions for the next moves.
Yeah,
But you can absolutely understand why a parent would be promoting their son
yeah.
and to get them to progress. Can't knock them for that.
What's that
Just
comment
saying,
from the next comment from Barry? That's it. Yeah. Nova came out and said it while talking at the ground. They just don't believe Moyes will play them. Exactly.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't argue with that comment because
You can't.
we don't believe Moyes is going to play them, do we?
No, and Moyes don't believe he's going to play them either. You know,
No.
he's got no intention of developing the youth. He's got every intention of creating a CV that he can be proud of, in my opinion. I mean, yes, he's done wonderful things with this club and for this club, but he's done it for himself as well along the way. You know, he's shown that he doesn't really care that much about the club if he's not using the academy. He doesn't use players that could get us results, you know, the likes of Sebastian Haller, and I thought Skamaka had a lot more to offer. And he's shown that by playing where he is now and banging goals in like they're going out of fashion.
I quite like Skamaka. I think he was a really good finisher.
Quality finisher.
I just don't think he suited the system.
No, because he had that kind of air about him where you thought he had an attitude, similarly to Haller, funnily enough.
Yeah, and I don't think we played
them. Know, but I think, you know,
too isolated.
I know, yeah, that's right. And you know, they kind of had characters, not playing ability, characters in a similar vein to Eric Cantona. I mean, look how arrogant he was at times when he scored and things, you know. You know, like that time when he scored and he turned around and he was just doing all that, you know, and you know, that's kind of the way that Haller was, that's kind of the way that Skamaka was in. And I just don't think that suited David Moyes' rhetoric. You know, I don't think he liked that kind of an attitude. And he didn't play him. He just didn't play him enough. You know?
Well, I think Anderson had a bit of that about him. He just didn't apply himself to the Premier League too well, I don't think. But he's a good player. But not all players are suited to the Premier League. And I'm going to qualify that even further to say not all players are suited to play for David Moyes or Sean Dyche or another.
Or Pep.
So you need to get the right fit in the right club, don't you?
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. And, you know, I mean, for a couple of seasons there, David Moyes was, you know, the right fit for us. Not anymore. I don't believe he is anymore. I think, you know, he's reached his peak. He's reached his ceiling. He's gone as far as he can with, you know, with his methods and abilities. And I think, you know, it's time for us to move on. If we want to improve, we've got to increase our prestige, if you like. We have to. If we want to be top six club, we have to act like a top six club, not toxic, top six. We have to act like that, you know, and we have to recruit accordingly, you know. I mean, look, Everton, like James said earlier, Everton had one of the best managers in my lifetime at their club in Ancelotti. Now, and don't forget, I've seen Greenwood and I've seen John Lyall and I've seen lots of, you know, Ferguson and all them lot. I've seen all of those in my lifetime. But for me, Carlo Ancelotti is one of the best man managers I've ever seen in my life.
He wasn't hugely successful at Everton, though, was he?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. But then, you know, will a racehorse trainer be a good fit at a donkey sanctuary?
But it's like it's exactly what we're talking about. Fits for clubs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Whereas, now I'm not saying that we're any more prestige than Everton are, but we are in the capital city, so therefore that gives us a little more prestige. And you know, we've got the Olympic Stadium, we've got, you know, some exceptional players at our hands in you know, Paqueta and the likes. I think Ancelotti would have done a fantastic job at West Ham. Unfortunately, we'll never know because the likelihood of getting him out of Real Madrid is bloody slim.
And I think Barry's just kind of echoing a bit about the sort of thing that we're saying, really. He's saying Scamacca would have fitted into a front four of him, Bowen, Kudus and Paqueta. Was playing in with Benny and everyone else out of formation. Scamacca could have worked out, just not with Moyes. And
yeah,
I think it's a fair point. If you were asking Scamacca to be the lone striker in the Antonio role,
not going to be able to do it.
Going to work, right? He's just not that player. Now, if you're going to put Scamacca in the goal scoring positions that Antonio finds himself in, he's going to score more goals than Antonio, right? Because he's a better finisher.
He's a finisher,
better goal scorer, without
he's
a doubt.
better with his feet. He's much better with his feet.
It's clinical, whereas
yeah,
Antonio's
he's
a bit erratic.
Actually, that's the way of putting it for Scamacca. He's a predator, you know, whereas Antonio's more of a hunter. You know what I mean by that? It kind of does it for the sport of it, whereas Scamacca loves to kill. He loves that, you know, popping the ball over the top of the keeper or slamming it past him from 8 yards or hitting one from 35 yards into the top corner and shit like that. That's Scamacca. You know, he loves that kill, the goal. He loves that final kill. Whereas I think Antonio enjoys the chase. You know, he likes that running around bit. And he's
Mark here is asking us for a prediction for the Chelsea game. So what I'm going to do is last week I was pretty pessimistic about the outlook for running.
Liverpool. Yeah.
And for Liverpool, Chelsea, even Luton, I questioned, and City away. And Barry was very positive and said that he felt we could get something out of those games. So I don't want to mess things up. So I'm going to remain pessimistic in the hope that West Ham basically go against what I say. So
yeah, they prove you wrong. Yeah,
say we lose 3-1 at Chelsea, and hopefully that'll be a reverse.
Well, I'm going to go in optimistically, reasonably optimistically, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. And I'm going to say that Chelsea will go down to 10 men early.
That'd be nice.
We'll be playing 10 men and we'll win 2-1.
I'd like to be more positive, but I don't want to buck the trend because I was on a right downer last week and I didn't see us getting much. And we've got a point out of a game I really didn't think.
I actually predicted a 3-1 win against Liverpool, But I also predicted an Ogbonna own goal, which I was close to. Because it came off Ogbonna, then Soucek, and then Areola. But Ogbonna put it goalward. But yeah, I actually predicted a 3-1 win because I kind of held a lot of faith in the Everton result against them. And considering how poor they were against us, Everton, I felt that we could have squeezed Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? And had we have played like the first half against Leverkusen, we probably would have squeezed them. We could have gone 2-0 up in the first half, but then it could have been 3-2 in the first half to them because they had a couple of opportunities. Not many, but a couple. And you know what Liverpool are like? They don't need much. They only need to see daylight, you know, and they get a tan. So, but you know what I mean? It's metaphorically, but you know, like they if they see an opening, like, Robertson proved it. I mean, it was the tightest of angles. You know, he couldn't see much of the goal. He put it between.
I still think that's a bit lucky, that goal myself.
He put it between Zuma's legs, and he was aiming for a goal. I don't call it luck. You know, I really don't. He was going for goal. He scored a goal. Weren't exactly
excellent,
world class, but it was a goal.
I'm so pleased Barry's put this comment in because after me keeping up my pessimism, and he said he stands with what he said. Chelsea are in the mud, don't have the team to turn us over on a good day, and he says we win 3-1. So you keep that optimism coming, Barry. I'll try and keep the pessimism coming, and hopefully you continue to be right.
Yeah, and I've said 2-1. So perhaps we'll have a disallowed goal as well. We're bound to get one of them, surely. We do most weeks, don't we?
Yeah, we've had a few this year, haven't we?
It does feel like that, doesn't it? It kind of feels like a weekly a dose, you know. I'm going to have to go fairly shortly, mate, because I am absolutely, my eyes, I can hardly see the screen or anything now.
Yeah, so that's no problem. I'll do these last few comments and we'll wrap it up. We've been going for nearly 2 hours, Budgie, so it's not too bad.
No.
And Barry's going to put a tenner down on it.
Good enough. Stick a kudos goal on there, Barry.
Wazim says, apart from the second half against the Spuds, the Brentford game, and the return leg against Leverkusen, why haven't we replicated this attacking football? Must admit, I watched that first 45 minutes against Leverkusen, and it did have me scratching my head as to why we don't approach games like that, especially at home, a little more often.
And we look comfortable doing it.
I'm not saying we should be doing that against Liverpool or City, but
why not?
We should be doing it against. We should be doing it against Burnley and the likes of that, you know.
Yeah, and Chelsea.
So, but that's Moyes with his safety first attitude, isn't it?
Yeah. See, I mean, with Chelsea, they've got a really unhinged defence. They're very unhinged. They don't work together well. They're learning and they're getting a bit better, but they don't work together well. So we need to be absolutely gunning at them, you know, like Bowen running at them, Emerson running at them. They'll honestly, they will fold. We would end up with a massive win if we play like that. Massive.
Yeah, we definitely should be approaching games in that manner more often. Maybe not every week, but certainly more often.
Can I reveal an exclusive, by the way?
You certainly can, Budgie.
Yeah. So next week's Tuesday show, I'll be in the lounge. Not
live in the lounge.
I'll be live in the lounge with your host, Jeff, next week. How's that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that very much, actually, Budgie.
I am
lovely to have you down.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it, and you know, we get to have a beer together. and we can chat, and we'll get on here. We'll get on here on
will.
Tuesday.
And bring your darts, Budgie.
Oh yeah, I will. Yes, I'll bring me darts. Yeah, I know she's got one. In fact, I like the way you decorated the wall behind it. It's brilliant. Giving me some ideas.
You get to inspect all of the bits that I missed.
And I am a decorator, so I will.
I was going to say, do you think Moyes has held us back in games with his safety first attitude? I think he absolutely has at times.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't think there's any question about that.
I think actually, even in the first half against Fiorentina, I think it kind of that was the case then as well. And I think in the second half, we were a little bit more adventurous. And then obviously, you know, we got the win. But I think even in that game, we could have won that 3 or 4-1 had the players been given the freedom to express themselves.
Well, I will say before we go, Budgie, I'll just say to everyone in the chat, thanks ever so much for joining us again. We've got a few regular faces, and it's really good that you come back week on week. And I hope you're enjoying the shows that we put on for you. And if any of you have not subscribed, please just take the time to give us a sub and help build our numbers.
And also, guys, share the show on your social medias from YouTube. You know, share it on your social media. That helps. You know, it really does. Sorry, Jeff. Carry on, mate.
No, that's all right. I was just going to say, if you have a word with Simon in the week and he wants to do a little preview show for Chelsea,
we'll get that done.
We might bring you another show this week and just do a little run through on the Chelsea game. So if any of you would like to join us for that, you'll be more than welcome. And well, I'll just say thanks once again for being with us. And we don't see you before. We'll see you all next week. Good night.
See you next week, guys. Come on, you Irons.
1-0 to the Cockney boys, 1-0 to the Cockney boys, 1-0 to the Cockney boys, 1-0 to the Cockney boys.